Yeah, we're live.
Okay. Welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform, civic education and global issue talk show. Today we're going to be discussing about the aftermath of AFCON 2022. Gambia went to quarterfinals, and after they lost to Cameroon, they were stuck and delayed. Footballers came out to express their concerns and their frustration that they needed to go and play for their various teams, and they're still in Cameroon without a flight going back. And then they also claim that they haven't received the $10,000 incentive that was given to them. And we're gonna explore this with our panelists here. Sam Sise from Indiana and Pamara Drame, Washington, DC, Maryland. Welcome, guys. So we did well at this tournament. Gambia went beyond expectation. And it surfaced Gambia's name for the first time going to African Cup of Nations. And we did so much, good things there. And then, of course, the government also had been supportive in giving supplemental funding of 22 million, I believe, and so many support from other people as well. Now, what had happened? What caused this delay? Because I had the Ministry of Sports, Bakari Baji, spoke, saying that they were trying to get planes. It looks like to get a chartered plane was, they keep getting disappointed. But I don't understand. You finish the game, couple of days, like you in the hotel, and people have to go and play for their respective teams. People want to return back home. The fans are waiting. What do you guys think? Went wrong, or what would have the government or the GFA or any other entity responsible would have done to make this a smooth sail, so that next time we need these players, we can get them back. And especially if they are promised that they will be given 10,000, that should be fulfilled. Either they win the game or lose the game. So I think this is very important. We need to take care of our players so that we can have them when we need them, and then they can even sacrifice more for our country. I will let Mfamara, Sam, one of you go first.
Okay. Well, I can start this. There are several components of, or at least a few components of this whole issue. The first one I'd like to say is to really commend our players. They've done a tremendous job. They've done an outstanding job because they took Gambia to where we've never been before. So first things first, we've got to thank them and really congratulate them for doing what they did. They did a great job. And like I said, they've done something that has never been done before in all the past years since independence, basically. So they've made history. And as a result, they really need to be commended and recognized for that. That's first. So we can't forget that. They've done a great job here. Now, the second part is, after doing all of that, and in fact, the government speaks about it, should speak about things like that first. And then the second part is what happened, before, during, and after the games. All of those are important things to look at. But I know that there should always be a contingency plan for anything of this magnitude. If you see a country that goes into a tournament like this and got this far, every day you've got to step your games up. Every day you've got to step your games up. As a government, I would say there wasn't a very good communication, because, and here's why. anytime you see people coming out, talking, complaining, and saying things, or maybe disgruntled and things like that, it's because somebody failed to do something. Because as leaders need to take responsibility and be in a good leadership role. When you're a leader, communication becomes a very prominent part of your job. You see, as soon as the games were over, if the leaders have captured all of these people and say, okay, here's the game plan now. Now that we've lost this game, we're not moving forward. Here is what we're working on. This is the arrangement that we are making. This is what we're working on. And also in terms of your $10,000 that was announced that was going to be given to you, here's how it's going to work. This is when you're going to get it. Or this is how you're going to get it. Tell them everything. Give them all a detailed description of what needs to happen from there so that you stop any rumor from coming out. If the leaders come out first, they stop rumors. If leaders keep quiet and they pretend they're working, or whether they pretend or they're actually working behind the scene without saying anything to anybody, that lack of communication brings speculations and rumors. So that's what they should have done. The leadership is a failure of leadership. The leadership, the Minister of Sports should have been out first before the boys made the video. He should have been the first one to come out before coming out by really talking to the team first and their coaches. Let them know where we are today, what's going to happen next, how it's going to happen, and when it's going to happen. These are very important. If you communicate that thoroughly and let everyone know, then, like I said, even if the press goes to those media, those football players and start talking to them, the football players will tell them exactly what the minister said. We have already been briefed. We already know what's going to happen. This is what our leadership team is working on. And this is what they told us. They would have said exactly what they were told. But if you leave people out like that in the middle of no land or la land or something, you holding them there and they don't know their faith and they don't have time. They are running out. Some of these are players in other countries. They have football clubs they need to go back to. They have commitments. They are running out of time. So they need to know what's next. They need to know what needs to happen. And if nobody communicates all of that to them, guess what? They're going to be frustrated. Some are going to take off on their own at their own expense and go back because they don't want to lose the opportunity that they had there. They took the time to get out of those communities internationally and come to play for Gambia. Gambia should take very good value of that. They should really recognize that and look at them and take good care of them to make sure that they return home first and then go back to their teams safely and in a timely manner. So if you're arranging flights for them, something like this is not the day to arrange. It's something that should be prearranged. It should have been prearranged and with conditions. If they win, okay, if they win, this is what we like to do. If they lose, then we need to have a flight on so-and-so date. Can you confirm that? Talk about all the details, flight arrangements and all of that stuff. So at the end of the day, I look at it as a failure of leadership. That's why the boys went out and released the video of their frustration. And that was true frustration. And anybody should look at that as, yes, they were frustrated because they were not given any good directions. That's why. So I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, Sam, for that highlight. Bambara, what do you think? What had happened? How should this be contained for the future?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sawane and Sam, once again for this important discussion again. And then the national football team. We would like to congratulate them once again for the wonderful job or the performance they have demonstrated in the African Cup of Nations, which is a big surprise to many countries, or I can say the whole world, because nobody would think Gambia would go that far. And then, beating those big teams, and then, reaching to the quarterfinal was historic, definitely. Just like Sam said, I think what the players did coming out to express their frustration and anger is all because of, I will not say lack of communication, but I will say inadequate communication. The information was not flowing to their expectation. And I think that's why they had to come out and do what they did. But no doubt, we have seen commitment from the level of the government and the National Organizing Committee, because we have seen over $90 million was raised from fundraising that was done internally or nationally. And then also we have seen the government of the Gambia further, approve or disbursed about $27.5 million here, which was even on the news, on the standard newspaper that the government Minister of Finance has released for the $27.5 million to help the national team in their accommodation and other logistics. So the funds is there, for the boys to, participate in the tournament, the housing, and also, of course, reaching at the quarterfinal. We understand also they have a package at the African Cup of Nations that they're supposed to get as well. So the money is there, the commitment is there from the government, the support from the national, from the country level, national level is there for the boys. The supporters were on the ground to give them all the support. The minister has flown out of the country to be there, and the technical teams, the GFF administrative team, they were all there. And we have a very good support team there. So now, if we reach to a level where we have dropped out of the competition, I think the national committee should have make an arrangement as soon as possible, to get the boys out. Compared to other countries that have national airlines or air national carriers, as soon as they dropped out of the competition, there was a flight ready for them to pick them up and took it to return them back home. So we are not in that capacity. We don't have that capacity. So I think the National Organizing Committee should have already made that prior arrangement. Whichever airline they had contract with or whatever arrangement they are going to do is to fly the boys out as soon as they want. Like Sam said, these people, some of them have already playing for clubs in abroad, and then they don't want to jeopardize their contract, any delay, in reporting back to their duty stations. So in that frustration, and that's what we have seen, some of the players, we understand, have already took out. They already fly out even before the government can decide when the flight is going to be available. Because at that point, the minister don't know when the flight is going to be available. Nobody in the team know when the flight was going to be available. So it's like they were making arrangements, and then the information was not flowing as they expected. And so all of a sudden, the frustration started, and then the players coming out, that level, hearing them, you can understand that definitely something is not right. Information is not coming out they expected, and then they're getting frustrated, and that's why they had to go to that level, even making a video while in Cameroon saying we are stuck in here. In fact, what they said they are going to give us has not even given to us yet, even though we understand later from the minister's interview that those full promises were fulfilled. But did they come on time? No. Were they given on time? No. So that frustration and anger force these people to come out and do what they did. So I think our organization was not, National Organizing Committee was not on top of their game or in terms of arrangement. Because if you delay people, there should be a constant information. Either hour by hour, you cannot sit for a whole day and then without giving information out. People need to know, because if they don't know, because at that point you're in a critical position, so you need to constantly, flow information. People will know what is going on. That will avoid all that unnecessary outcry that we already had from the players. So I think, Sawane, that is something very important, and we don't blame the players because they are angry, they're frustrated.
Right.
And then, and we also hear in one of the meetings after the game when they won, the minister promising them $10,000 for that particular game when they won. But if the players come out and say that they have not received it, we definitely know that they have not received it. It's not only one player that is saying that. But if you have like 5, 6, 7 players, also in their frustration, then they were not given the money. at that particular time, they were not given the money. And then they have been promised and they should be given that money. All right. So I think that was the situation, that the frustration that all came into play. And that's why the boys did what they did. It's rather unfortunate because I've never had any of this complaint from any other African countries participating in the tournament coming out openly, discussing openly about their frustration like this. I've not had it, In fact, in Cameroon, I understand their national team, some of their bonus money, they donated out to, one of the locations where there was stampede in the stadium where some people lost their life. So they decided that our bonus should go to these people or the families of these victims who lost their life. So, yeah. So I think communication is very key in whatever we do. And that's what is lacking in most of the Gambia. Because people don't have trust in the system, people don't have trust in, leaders. It's all about trust. And this is why, for people don't waste time. When there is frustration, they think the best thing to do is let's go out and express that frustration, because that's the only way you can get leaders to talk or to come out and explain what happened. So there was that communication breakdown there, and that's what led to all this misunderstanding. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Famara. Yeah, I think you guys actually nailed it. It has to do with miscommunication. It has to do with effective leadership. It has to do with not fulfilling the promise been made on time, even though it has been fulfilled, but the time that these people came out. And Famara, you mentioned a very important point. You've never had it anywhere, from any countries, your players complaining openly like this. And then we went to this tournament in good faith and with, with optimism, and we should have came out, smoothly and get celebrated at home without complaints. That would have even been much better. It's good for our national spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been good for, future, recruitments and players coming from abroad to come and help our country. So it is rather unfortunate that the minister would have to come out and then trying to defend the situation, saying that it's not the government's fault or the GFA, is just the flight folks who are not providing the flights. But I'm saying, if the money is there, why wouldn't the flight be available? I mean,
Exactly.
money, things happen. Let's just be real. I mean, if the money is there,
yeah,
there will be a possibility that they can get these people chartered flight, right? So I don't know what kind of flight that they're trying to do, but I believe that money speaks louder than anything. So, but the fact that it's not the government fault and it's not GFA's fault, according to the minister, then whose fault it is? The companies who are providing flights, right? It has to be them, right? Or some or the players that don't want to leave. Certainly not, right? So it is what it is. But this is why we need to finish the job. When we start something, finish it at the same speed, at the same it's confidence level in everyone's, and at the same tenacity, at the same any level that we started. Because this AFCON really, I mean, either we pass Cameroon or not, we won the cup or not, our players made history. That is the most important. Making history, giving confidence to Gambian young youths that they can come out and then play and be in the same similar situation and even go even further. They can even go to the World Cup, qualify for the World Cup, and so forth and so forth. It doesn't matter the size of the country nowadays. What matters is really what, the quality of players and what they can provide. So I think you guys have said it all. What I would say is, did you guys hear any of the government officials, beside the minister speaking, taking responsibility of this? Or did you guys hear anything like that? No one has taken responsibility?
No, I did not. Apart from the
No,
minute, I did not.
No, okay. And then I also heard that some players flew. Did they flew from the Gambia to their respective clubs, or they flew from? Did you guys hear anything about that?
I don't know. All I heard from them, the players themselves, the ones that spoke in that video said some of them had to leave.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's all I heard. And when they had to leave, did they go back to Gambia or did they go to their respective places? I don't know, but at least they left on their own, and we should not have waited for that. So, like I said, I didn't mean to cut you, but you can go ahead until you finish.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, and Farmer also mentioned very good, important stuff in here, and this is all true. I mean, what we're all saying here is really true. At the end of the day, I just say the lack of the proper communication. Communication is the key to everything. When you're in leadership role, you've got to communicate with people. So if the proper communication is not there, even if you communicate, but you communicate later than sooner, you still miss the point. Communication is important, and the communication between the government, the players, and the coaching team, very, very important. It's very important. I mean, and the sad part about it is we beat the first team we played with. They were angry with us. We beat the second team. They were angry with us. We beat the third team, and then we beat Guinea. Guinea was like, Gambia, a small country like Gambia beat Guinea. They look at that. Now, when our players get stuck and in Cameroon and can't leave, all these countries that we beat, they all say, thank God. I'm glad they're stuck there. That's what's good for them, because they don't deserve this. That's what they are going to talk about. They will be laughing at us. Really, they'll be laughing at us. So it's a shame. It's really a shame that, if an individual player can get up and make his own arrangements and take off and go, where's the government? The government should have been able to do the same thing. They should have been able. It's just like today. I mean, there are flights all over the place. I know a plane is different in a different situation, but planes carry passengers, just like vehicles carry passengers. And all those planes and vehicles and ferries and boats, they're all looking for passengers, right? They're always there looking for passengers. If you want to cross the Banjul-Barra ferry today and you go there, the ferry is not working. Well, they told you the ferry will be there this morning. Yesterday, that's what they told you. Well, today you went there, the ferry is not working. What do? Grab a boat, because you have to cross anyway, right? You're going to make quick arrangements, call another boat and say if that boat person can take you. If he says no, get another one, because there are boats out there that are waiting to get passengers. They want to get paid and take passengers. There are planes out there that are waiting to fill their planes to go. If we can't have people, if we don't, we all know Gambia is a small country. We don't have our own plane. And that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking, we should have our own plane stand by there. No, we don't need to do that. But if you are making arrangements with one carrier and they failed you, I mean, boy, there are so many of them there. You should quickly get into the other. But the key to that is communicate all of that. Let the people know, let the coaching team know what you're working on, and let the team know that. So they will not come out and put a video. The reason they came out is they don't know, they did not know their fate. They don't know when they're going. They don't know when they're going to get their money. They don't know what's happening. So the communication, the flow of communication was not there. So the whole point is communication. Is better to over communicate than not to communicate. And our government is fond of not communicating and waiting until things come out and rumors come out, then they come out and try to defend that. A leader should not be defending. Leaders should be the first one to come out, make a press release, go to the radio and television stations in Gambia and tell people, because there are not only the players that are anxious to go back, but there are people in Gambia that wants to go. Welcome them as well. All of these people need to be communicated to. Get the first time that they didn't have a plane, they should have put something on GRTS. Let the whole Gambia know what is happening. After they communicate with the team players, the players and their coaches, they should communicate with the players and the coaches first. then go to national television and tell everyone in radio stations, let it be announced that our players, unfortunately, they lost this game with Cameroon. Here are the arrangements that we made for them. And we've already communicated this with the players. And here is what's going to happen. The initial plane that we wanted them to come on will not work, or could not work, or didn't work, or is not going to work because of this, and that. But here is what we're going to do. Tell the people what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, maybe how you're going to do it. And let the people that are involved in it all know this. If you do this as a leader, there's not going to be any rumor. There's not going to be any speculation, because everyone will be on the same page. They were all here together. You know, the whole Gambia will hear it all together on national television. GRTS and all the television stations should have announced all of it. They should have put this on all radio and television stations, so that there's no doubt in anybody's mind, so that everyone in the country and abroad can see that our government is doing what they're supposed to do to get our people back. And that is what was lacking. That's why they came out. So that's what I want to say. Again, the key word here is communication. Proper communication did not go out. And also proper, when I say proper, means the truth, timely communication, and what needs to be in the context of that communication did not come out on time. That's why we're talking about this today. Yep. You're muted, Sawani.
Mpamara, do you have anything to add to that? Thank you, Sam.
Yeah. I mean, much has been said. I completely agree with Sam, the communication aspect, because look at it. When the boys even arrived in the country, it was late at night. You know, there was not that huge turnout of fans that were anticipating to welcome the boys, you know, because they had to do a last minute arrangement. And then the flight was available to depart Cameroon, I think it was 8 p.m. And by the time they arrived in the Gambia, it was already late. It was late at night. So only few people turned out to the airport to welcome the boys. So just like the first day when we were expecting them to come, and then they did not come out because they were saying they were supposed to be there around 3 p.m. When it was canceled, and they realized that the flight was canceled or the flight wasn't available. So you see that the welcoming ceremony was somehow jeopardized because the number of people or number of fans or Gambians ready to go out in the street to welcome the boys, you know, did not materialize as planned, you know. So that would have been a very good, motivating, factor for the boys to motivate them. That even though they have lost at the quarterfinal, but we really appreciate the whole country was behind them. We've seen when they even lose to Cameroon, there was a huge turnout of crowd at the Westfield, jubilating, celebrating the fact that we have reached that level. So they were all getting ready to welcome the boys. But when the flight was canceled, and then we didn't know when they were coming, until last minute we heard they will be coming around, they'll be leaving 8 p.m. over that side. Then, very few people turn out to the airport. And when we get to the airport, the boys were so tired, so frustrated. Some of them even didn't, enter the bus that came to pick them up, to go as a team to their various hotels. Some people, their family came to pick them up. They went with their family, go straight home instead of going to the hotel where they should all meet, and then some people, did not even wait for that official whatever, So it was all chaos and misunderstanding. I think the organizing committee needs to do better. Communication, very, very key. Communication is key because people need to have confidence in our leaders, especially of this high level arrangement, a national team for that matter, should be well organized because the funds were there. AfriCell was also a very big contributor to the program or to the fundraising. They did well. They always send their people out there too. So I think the communication aspect was what made the boys very frustrating. And then hence it leads to all this chaos.
Okay, thank you guys. So that being said, I think we learned from this, and let's promote our people. Let's be behind the people who have made our country shine and strong. Let's support them all the way through, not like come up to the end and then, fall flat. That will send a big signal to those who actually are out there supporting our cause. So I think this was a miscommunication. Like you guys said, leadership, shortcoming and other logistical failures that has caused so that somebody finished the game, they should have returned back home quickly and get celebrated. But the fact that all those things didn't go as expected, kind of, make our victory feel, a little empty, because we know we could bring the trophy. I mean, Gambia is capable of that, but we also knew that we could lose the game because experience are there and mistakes happens. So, but again, this is a learning lesson for us. And then let's thank our players and then, keep our heads up for next time. Yeah. So our final segment of the program would be the issue that we saw on the news about the ECOMOG soldiers going to Senegalese territory. So, Mfamara, if you can give us a little bit overview about that, and perhaps the root cause, and what we will explain what we know or what we heard about it, and give our 2 cents to the issue. But again, we are not an expert in any of these areas, but we will try. Mfamara, you can go ahead, and Sam can come in.
Thank you so much, Sawane. It's rather unfortunate what we had last week, what happened in Fonyi between the Casamance rebels and the Senegalese soldiers in our own country. It's rather unfortunate. But what we do know is the fact that there is economic pressure in our country. And we all know since 2016, after the change of the government, the ECOWAS decided to intervene and to restore peace in our country, to ensure that there is, security, and the economic pressure is legitimate in our country. And we also knew that for the fact that there is a defense agreement between the Gambia and Senegal, that when Senegalese soldiers see something in our country that they think is a violation of their laws in Senegal, they can enter into our country and do what they want to do and then go back to Senegal. Now, this is also a non-agreement because this was something that was highlighted way back when there was incident of Senegalese soldiers and the people of Fonyi. And the Minister of Defense mentioned about this defense agreement between Gambia and Senegal. So this means Senegalese presence also in the Gambia is legitimate, apart from the ECOMIC, all right? So the incident that happened, the political aspect of it, we are not very conversant with that, but the underlying causes is the illegal timber trade that is happening in Casamance, crossing over the border to the Gambia. We all know that. And this was something that has been since 2016, since Senegalese started coming into our country, we have seen that occurrence of conflict between the Senegalese soldiers and the timber traders, because at some point in some communities, some trucks were confiscated, logs were confiscated, and then also at some point we have seen one of the trucks being set on fire because the Senegalese soldiers believe the timber that the truck was carrying was coming from Senegal, was coming from Casamance, coming to Gambia. And because of their presence in the Gambia, they want to ensure that they enforce that law, their environmental law. So this was causing problem. And then partly I agree with Senegal in terms of enforcing their laws, because every country have their own laws, and then the essence of creating laws is to enforce them. And then this has been going on even in the previous administration. It is a known fact that the people in the Gambia, especially the timber dealers, are leaving the Gambia to cross over to Casamance to buy timber from people there in Casamance. Of course, our people are not engaged in cutting down those trees, but it is our people that cross over to Casamance to go and buy this timber from the Senegalese people, all right, crossing it over to the Gambia, which is illegal. Because one, the Gambia and Senegal are both party to the Convention on International Trade on Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna, called the CITES. These are the United Nations level. So both countries are party to this convention. So this means nobody can travel from either of this country to go and pick up a species of a plant or a tree that is already endangered species to be traded in and then brought over to this country to be re-exported out to another country. It's even illegal. So internationally, it is legal. The international law, it is illegal. The trade is illegal. But also the Senegalese side, because they have their own environmental law and we have our own environmental law, it's also illegal. And the unfortunate thing is, the Gambia is actually playing a part into this. Our government is playing part to this because when those timbers leave Casamas, or our people go there in Casamas to buy the tree and bring it over to the Gambia, we are the one in turn issuing re-export license for those business people or businessmen to put those logs into the container and then send it to China or India, wherever they take them to outside the country. So if we are not, we as a country, we are not giving them re-export license, those logs or that illegal trade would probably have stopped or maybe reduced significantly, But because the trade has been going on since the former administration when Jammeh was there, because the Jammeh Commission report has already revealed that between 2012 and 2016, 13,000 containers has left the Gambia ports to China and India, between that 4 years period. So you can imagine 13,000 containers of timber. You can imagine how many trees were cut down to fill one container, much more 13,000 containers. So we are actually robbing our ecological bank and we are robbing the future generation of their right to stay in a healthy environment. So that's a breach of, that's a violation of the laws. And that's what the Senegalese think they need to make a stop to this. And this is why they took advantage of their presence in the Gambia to reinforce on that aspect too, which they could not do when Jammeh was there. When Jammeh was there, the Senegalese soldiers don't have access to Gambia. Even they know that this illegal trade was coming. And because of the conflict in Casamas, they cannot also go to Casamas to stop this illegal activity, So they took advantage of the presence in the Gambia to fight this. And I don't blame them. They are doing what they're supposed to do. But what they should not have done is when they find any culprit engaged in this illegal business, if they caught them in our soil, in the Gambian boundary, all they need to do is hand it over to our security men, our police and our soldiers, and our Department of Forestry, and we will deal with them. Rather than them, the Senegalese soldiers using power and force, try to arrest these people, sometimes even shooting at them, and then burning down their trucks, confiscating their logs. I think that's way too much. The Senegalese should not have done that. They should have just handed over everything to us, and we will use our Gambian laws to prosecute those unscrupulous businessmen who are continuing engaging in illegal trade. So I think this is one of the fundamental conflicts between Gambia and the Senegal, or Senegal, Casamas, and the Gambia right now, which escalated into this problem. And then they took that advantage. The rebels, we understand they are also engaging into timber trade. In fact, that's their source of income, because as a rebel, if you are in the bush, you need ammunition, you need guns, you need food, you need some to pay your staff or to take care of the people that are fighting. So their source of income is this timber. So therefore, they want to use that advantage too, to get this issue sorted out. So I think that's one of the biggest underlying causes of this conflict. And I think since the government has set up a task force to investigate the matter, I hope they will look at that environmental component as well, because that's one of the contributing factor to the problem. Of course, they are political, because the rebels in Casamas are fighting for their freedom. They want to fight for their independence. That's one thing. But when they come to Gambia, trying to escalate the problem over there because of economic presence, then it will be something that we have to stand up and then make a stop to it so that it does not escalate. And one part of doing that is stopping this illegal timber trade and let the government, especially the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, stop issuing re-export license to any timber dealer that get timber from Senegal or Casamas to the Gambia. And we should not even be doing that without showing a proper documentation that comes from Senegalese Environment Ministry and the Senegalese custom to say that this timber coming from Casamance is legitimate. It is approved by the Senegalese to sell it. But without doing that, we cannot issue any real export, and we have to stop this immediately. Otherwise, this problem will continue, and then the Senegalese and the Casamance will use the advantage, in our soil to do stuff that are not completely not good for peace and security.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Mfamara, for that. Sam, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just say a few things. Since I'm almost running out of time here, I need to get on my hometown call. So I'll say a little bit to, pretty much commend what Mfamara said, commend Mfamara for what he said. Great points there. And the key word there is the underlying factor. What is the underlying factor? And Mfamara just said all of that. So Mfamara, thank you for bringing all of that up. In any case, you always want to look at the root cause of anything. You look at the root cause and attack it from the root cause standpoint. And when you do that, that's when you can stop it. If not, it's going to continue on and on. The only thing I want to add to this here is maybe a couple of things, but one is I think Gambia need to look at our agreement that we have with Senegal and see what's in for Gambia, because we're a sovereign nation, we're a sovereign state. We cannot let have agreements with other countries that is bad for our economy, that's bad for our safety, that's bad for everything for Gambia. We cannot go bad, bad, and bad. We've got to have something. There's got to be something in there for Gambia. If not, it's not a good deal. We need our country need to look at getting out of that deal if it doesn't favor us. And the other part is Casamance is in Senegal, not in Gambia, right? If Casamance is in Senegal and Casamance is doing this illegal trade, timber trade in there, Gambia has nothing to do with that. The part that Gambia has to do with is what Mfamara said, issuing them a license to operate that business through our country. We shouldn't be doing that. But what Casamance is doing in Casamance being in Senegal, not in Gambia, we really don't have anything in Casamance. So Senegal should send their troops to Casamance if they want. And if they are willing to do that, and if they can stand enough to stand on their own to do that, send their troops to Casamance to stop them from doing that and keep Gambia out of it. Our government also need to look at this as, you know what, we have agreement with Senegal, but we need to make sure that we are very careful with this, because this can be a catastrophe down the road where it can bring a major conflict between all two countries in all three territories, Gambia, Casamance, and part of Senegal. Even though Casamance is in Senegal, it's just going to bring that conflict in there where it becomes dangerous for people and people can lose their lives. That's what Gambia need to look at and say, you know what, don't use us as a scapegoat, okay? We don't want to be part of this. You are Senegal, Casamance is in Senegal, go after them. Let's save Gambian lives, okay? Senegal should go after Casamance if they want to do that, and not try to come through Gambia and use Gambia to attack Casamance. Because if they do, Casamance is not only going to kill Senegalese, they are going to kill Gambians as well. And we should not lose one life out of this. And the second part is, Farmer said this too, we should not allow Senegalese soldiers to come to Gambia and arrest people in Gambia and take them to Senegal. If they did something wrong, hand them to Gambians. Let Gambian officials deal with it, but don't take our people to your country. Have we ever seen any time Gambian soldiers or police officers go to Senegal to arrest people there because of doing something illegal and bring them to Gambia like that? It doesn't work that way. It's always Senegal coming to Gambia, arresting our people and taking them. And that should also stop. So that's why I said at the end of the day, our government need to look at all this agreement that they have with Senegal and see if it's not good for Gambia. At the end of that agreement, get out of it. Don't do it again. That's it. And park all the Senegalese soldiers out of Fonyi and get them out of there. They are going to Fonyi. Why are they not in Basse? You know, why are they not in Basse? Why are they not in Kaul? Why are they not in Banjul? it's because their interest is Casamas. They should go to Casamas. Don't come to Gambia and try to use Gambia to go after Casamas. No, we don't want that conflict between us. We are all brothers and sisters. We are all related. We are all families. There are intermarriage around here. So Gambia should not allow that to happen. And that's what I wanted to add to what Famara said. But thank you. I'm going to have to get off here because I have to host my hometown call. But thank you both for your time. I really appreciate this time and great conversations here. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll complete it with Famara. You can go ahead and attend your hometown conversation. Thank you for your time. Yeah, wonderful. Famara, so you have made an interesting point here about the timber trade. And most people probably don't know that was the root cause of this whole issue. And if that is something that the rebels or the Senegalese, Casamas folks are benefiting from, and then the Senegalese are stopping them from doing that, using Gambia as a tunnel, I think it is unwise on our side to allow that to happen. Isn't that correct? I cannot hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, so definitely, it's definitely unwise to do that. Definitely, we should not allow them to use that opportunity, of their presence in Gambia, to attack customers from our side. Just like Sam said, that is definitely something that our government need to stand firm and ensure that our defense agreement is implemented in a way that is not going to be at our disadvantage, because whatever they're trying to do to customers from our end, definitely we will not isolate ourselves into that. We will definitely be in the middle, So in that regard, to avoid any future conflict in the area, we just have to stand firm and tell the truth to Senegal, and then ensure that they are not doing anything that is outside the defense agreement that they had with the Gambia government. So that's something that we really need to, look at very carefully and ensure that they adhere to that, agreement. Very important.
But do you think that have they attacked these rebels from the other end before, going through Casamas itself without involving Gambia? Have they done that before?
Well, they might have, but I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware if they have done that, they attack the customers from the other end. I don't know. But I know since this change, since the Senegalese president, ECOMOG president in the Gambia, we have seen incidences of this nature. They have happened, especially this last one where they had to arrest the alcalde of a certain village in Fonyi, and of course the CID officer and one person. And these are the three people that were arrested by the Senegalese soldiers, and they were taken to Senegal for interrogation and then later released. And we have seen the outcry of people of Fonyi, and we have also listened to the National Assembly member of Fonyi, Honorable Amul Nyazi, what he mentioned about this unfortunate incident. And then, thank God, I've also seen the Gambian military, the Gambia Armed Forces. They have sent a high-powered delegation of soldiers to these communities, trying to reassure them that they are in the Gambia, and what happened there is rather unfortunate. The government is behind them, and they're doing all effort to ensure that the incident doesn't repeat again. It doesn't happen again. So that's also a reassuring message to the people out there, who some of them have left their communities already. They've left. They went out to another communities because they're just scared. What happened. I have seen one of the houses, the bullet hole in one of the houses was clearly seen on the video. So these are very rather unfortunate. People could have lost their life, in that crossfire, So
exactly.
we need to step up really and engage.
So what should the Gambia government do? I mean, because we had Salif Sadio warning the Gambian government and then, ask the Gambians that if this continue, he will not accept, this kind of thing any longer. If this continue to happen, he would fight, and he wouldn't mind to kill, whoever. And being that Gambian, was used as a harbor, kind of like a tunnel to do this attack. He would not accept that somebody can come from your compound and then go and attack somebody. Even that person doesn't belong to that compound. Go and attack somebody's neighbor and come back to your compound, and you say that, you are not part, you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard about Salifu's interview with ITV, and that's exactly what he said. I think he's basing his argument on the fact that, this customers conflict has been going on for many years, and they haven't had any incidents where Senegalese soldiers had to enter from the Gambia side to attack them. So any conflict that between them is within in Casamas. But I think this probably might be the first time where Senegalese soldiers use the Gambia, to go into Senegal in the pretext of fighting for timber trade, and yet, firing at others or the rebels, and then back to the Senegalese, where unfortunately lives of soldiers were killed in that process. So I think this is what he's trying to send a message to Gambia government, because he knows the Senegalese can only get to them through Gambian soil, especially with this defense agreement that is going on right now and the presence of ECOMIC. And then since the presence of ECOMIC in the country, of course, yes, many people are against it. And then especially those in those part of the Casamas region, because they fear that something like this might occur. And I think that's what Salif is trying to reiterate, that, they can only get to them by using the Gambian side. So therefore, we need to make sure we don't allow that. So that's what the message he's trying to send out to the Gambia. But I hope the investigation that the government set up right now will look into that and then come up with some recommendations that will actually stop from this kind of unfortunate incident to recur again. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Has the government responded in anyhow, or did anybody take accountability, or were those people ECOMOG actually, or they were just Senegalese inside ECOMOG, or pretending to be ECOMOG?
Well, that's a good thing, because we know that there is a large Senegalese presence a large number of Senegalese soldiers present in the Gambia. So I know some of them are part of the ECOMIC, but I don't know whether some of them are just there just to serve Senegalese government interests. Because you see, before the election started, you see about, is it 650 soldiers? They said they were changing shift, or whatever they call it, because the other people times end, the other ones are coming. Yeah. And they will say they are part of the ECOMIC. So nobody knows. So I think the defense ministry will probably know who is who, since we have that large gathering there. So if Senegalese are part of the ECOMIC, how many soldiers of Senegalese soldiers are part of that ECOMIC team? That's what we need to know. And if there are others there, then maybe they are just doing something else. They're doing their regular patrol, or they are just trying to protect the border from the other side, which is confusing people, whether they are ECOMOG or whether they are serving the Senegalese interest. So I hope Ministry of Defense will probably, their investigation will know about this, will find out, and then, report what is the exact situation out there in terms of the number of Senegalese soldiers we have in our country.
Yeah. Could it be that ECOMOG is being used as a cover-up in this, operation so far, or things of this alike in the Gambia? Because if you look at ECOMOG, we are seeing a larger presence of Senegalese in this ECOMOG business. Could be, and it begins to be suspicious that perhaps the Senegalese President Macky Sall is definitely controlling the narrative of how these operations are done, and in the pretext that we're still protecting Gambia. But Gambia, since it's about 5 years since Jammeh left, so there's no threat of Jammeh returning back or anything like that. So I don't think we even need ECOMOG any longer. We have our own soldiers in our soil. We need to be a sovereign nation. We need to protect our own self. Why would, even this government still be, depending on ECOMOG, even if they are given free service? Because I had the president say one time, why would somebody be giving you free service and you complain? It's not about being free service. When nothing in this world is free. When somebody gives something to you free, they are looking for other things. Either you know it or not, there must be a catch somewhere. You gotta really, pay back something.
Right.
So maybe the president doesn't know what he's paying back, or maybe he will later find out. But the point I'm trying to make here is that it doesn't matter if ECOMOG is providing those securities. Gambians can do that. We have our military, we have, our security forces, so we don't need that. Jammeh has left 5 years ago and there's no sign of him returning. Who's going to return it? His people has already divorced him. The most of them returned back to the Gambia, including, his main guy. So why would we still be lingering on ECOMOG, having this Senegalese presence in our territory? We are two different nations, although we have the same, common backgrounds, but we have our own sovereignty. So I think Gambians should start, putting pressure on the government and then other international bodies to try to eradicate this ECOMOG business in our country, so our people we can be identified as our own. Our military can lead the our operations. They can see, they can be confident, and then they can be part of the process. But every time ECOMOG, how long? We are not in a war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. And if that wasn't the case, this wouldn't have happened, because they wouldn't have used, probably Senegalese wouldn't have the opportunity to go through Gambia to do this. So I think this is a wake-up call. Before we shoot ourselves on the foot, let's start to, be realistic. Let the government and then the borough government understands that they need their own security. Why would you be depending on somebody's security for 5 years or even longer, even if it is free? It doesn't make sense. Someone's fooling someone somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone gotta be fooling someone somewhere. Doesn't seem right.
Well, it's a mutual benefit, because Gambia, even though we are not at war, but our security is very fragile right now. And then I think we still need ECOMOG presence in our country, simply because we have not done any security reform since 2016. And if we had done a security reform and then that was properly implemented, then we don't need ECOMOG. But right now we have not done so. So we still need the ECOMOG present in our country. You might think it's not necessary, but it is very, very necessary, because, even in our security forces, there are still people loyal to Yahya Jammeh, even though he's not in the country, even though there is no sign that he's coming back. But there are people that are very loyal to Jammeh in our security forces. You understand? And all these regional threats going on right now. And I would cite example of Guinea-Bissau, for example, when the current president, when he was running for a campaign time, he was saying he was going to send ECOMOG out. As soon as he become president, I think the ECOMOG left Guinea-Bissau. But right now, you see the situation that happened to Guinea-Bissau recently, and they are thinking of sending back ECOMOG back there again, to protect the guy. You understand? So I think in our case, because we have delayed in implementing the security reform, it is very necessary to keep the ECOMOG there right now, even though they said it's no cost to our government. So we cannot refuse it. But I think we need them at this point in time, until to the point when a security reform will be implemented. Of course, yes, well, once we have the ECOMOG there, that is also an advantage to Senegal, because Senegal is part of ECOWAS, and they will send their delegation or their team, the Senegalese soldiers, to be part of that ECOMOG team in the Gambia. So in that regard, Senegal will also will be looking into their interest in the Gambia and use the economic as well to do what they want to do in Gambia. And this is what exactly is happening. So now all we have to do is to ensure that the number of Senegalese soldiers in our country, go by our economic protocols and then also go by our laws. Because I know, even though I'm not a security expert here, but I know the economic soldiers will not directly intervene with the Casamas rebels up to the point of firing them. I don't think that is within the mandate of ECOMIC. They wouldn't go into that open fire. So this is why when this incident happened, you did not hear Nigerian soldiers, or you didn't hear Ghana soldiers, or any other soldiers that are part of the ECOMIC team. All you hear is the Senegalese soldiers. All right? Are those Senegalese soldiers part of the ECOMIC team? That's what we need to find out. If not, then maybe it was the defense agreement between Gambia and Senegal, and that is between these two countries, that the soldiers are taking advantage of that defense agreement to do what they want to do from the Casamas border end, to do what they want to do. So you see. So it's an advantage to Senegal to have ECOMIC, but it's also to our advantage, because at this point in time, we have not done any security reform. A security policy has been drafted and it is already ready. They say they are reviewing it, but nothing has been done. And it's so critical.
So why do you think, for 5 years, nothing has been done? Was it intentional, or was it just, it couldn't be done?
Well, I don't know what is exactly happening, but it's something that we envisage that it should have been done within 5 years. It shouldn't be a big deal. Since we have ECOMIC presence in our country, we have high-level ECOMIC personnel that are very experienced in terms of conflict resolution. Even our own Gambia National Army team, we have people who are experienced in conflict resolution that has gone into war zone areas. And they have and the funding is there. European Union has provided the funds to do these reforms. So I don't think it should take that 5 years or more without even implementing. But at least progress is being made since we have the policy in place. And then they are also progressing a little bit, although it delayed. But I think we need to do it as quickly as possible. Like you said, it's not sustainable. It's not going to be for too long to have ECOMIC presence in our country. I think this is one of the easiest ECOMIC operation for any ECOMIC team, because there's no war in Gambia, of course, yes, but only they have to help us just to secure, and so that there is peace and stability in our country. So I think they need to work fast on that, security reform and get it out of the way. Because when the funding run out, we are going to start looking for another funding again to do the same thing that we should have done.
So everything lies on our reforming our security. So once that is done, we're going to have ECOMIC out.
Yes.
And then that is in the process, right? You said.
There's going to be a process. Yep, obviously.
Yeah, but that is on the table now. Is it been worked at or no?
Oh, yeah, it should be a top priority. In fact, it's a top priority for Barrow right now, for the fact that we don't have a new constitution, and then all of that delay had happened. So this second term, in fact, I'm expecting, the first year of this second term, going towards the second year, we should definitely be able to implement those reforms that were needed 5 years ago. They have not been done. He should be able to act on them. This time around, there's no excuse. He needs to work on them as quickly as possible and get it out of the way so that the Gambia can be able to defend herself. We have our military taking charge of our country. We don't have to rely on Senegalese government that are actually being the bodyguard or ADC to our president. They know our internal security. Nothing is happening in State House that Senegal don't know right now. Everything that we do in State House, they know it. Because you know it or not, those people, they report back to their bosses, periodically or whatever it is. Those soldiers in our State House, they report back because they are not there representing the president or anybody. They are representing Senegal because Senegal give them the protection. And then our soldiers also went out to Senegal to learn how to they went on a training to become, state guards or whatever they call them. So obviously, one way or the other, Senegal has a big role to play in our security status right now.
Thank you, Mfamara. So I think
Right.
that we have really exhausted this topic as well. And then you have given us an insight about the cause of this conflict and then how we can perhaps mitigate this moving forward.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that when any attacks are happening, it happens through between Senegal and Casamas. Let it not come to Gambia so that we don't have to get involved.
Absolutely.
Because we don't want any war. I mean, like with Casamas, because we are a sovereign nation. We just happen to have economic presence there, so the Senegalese shouldn't use that as a tunnel to get to Casamas for the timber exports and so forth. So this is very important that our viewers could learn from and also get some ideas what we're talking about. I've seen some comments here. Some people are saying that about the Gambia, about the timber, I mean, that they think that ECOMOG should leave the Gambia and Gambia should defend their own sovereignty. Yeah. And somebody also was saying that about the complaint, what he said, about the football, that they are learning what happens regarding regarding what happened regarding securing round-trip flight for national team footballers. The saga is underlined by corruption in high places. Corruptions in high places. And then, oh man, this guy wrote a lot. I cannot even go over that, but it's on the it's on the chat. I mean, it's on the comment section on the platform, so anybody can read it. But all we want to say here, we just come here and express our opinions on issues and share with our viewers about what we think those issues, what are the best solutions for them, as well as what are the recommendations. We are not an experts. We just come here as citizens to sensitize our people through civic education that we do here in New Gambia platform. And then we definitely engage our citizens so that we can make our country better and greater. So thank you, Mfamara. Any final words before we close? You're not being heard. You're in mute.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think it was a wonderful discussion. So the Scorpions, congratulations once again. So the GFF needs to improve on their communication. That's why the boys had to come out and say what they had just said. It's unfortunate, but if the boys has to go to that level, expressing their frustration, then that means that there was communication breakdown within the team. So we need to work on that because it's embarrassing to see our players coming out openly saying that we're supposed to be paid, we did not pay. These people have forgotten about us. They have no respect for us. We need to go back to our team. If a professional player is coming out saying that, while still in Cameroon, that's a sign of frustration. And those are the kind of things that we need to improve on communication. People need to have, trust in our leaders. People need to be open. You don't need to sit on information, and that's very key. But also our players also in situations like this, you also have to exercise some patience as well. When an information is not coming out, because when a national team player come out to express things like that, I'm not paid, or they forget about us. Obviously, it's gonna bring some anger in the fans back home because people following those players and they know that, they have belief in them. They have trust in whatever word they say. So it's not gonna be good for the minister. It's not gonna be good for our government. It's not going to be good for GFF. So I think we need to improve on that line of communication. All right. So with the Senegalese present in our country, we still need them because we have not done the security reform yet. Until that is done, we still need ECOMIC in our country because our security situation is still very fragile in the Gambia, whether you know it or not. We are not in war, but our security is very fragile. There are soldiers that are still loyal to Jammeh, even though he's not in the country, because we have seen Some soldiers that are with Jammeh, they also returned back. Solbaji and the co, they were taken to Mile 2, and I understand the law, the court asked them to be released. So there are a lot of factors going on in our country. So unless the security reform is done, we need their presence. But the Senegalese should not use their presence in our country to do stuff that they have failed to do in Casamance for many years. They cannot use that. Because in that way, they will put us in a funny situation whereby, we are going to have a problem with the Senegalese or the Casamance rebels, which we never had any problem for the past 40 years nearly when this conflict has been going on. Gambia has not been named. We have not had any firing in the Gambia or somebody killed or been arrested. In this situation, 3 people arrested from Gambia, taken to Senegal for interrogation and then come back and release them. That is beyond the mandate of ECOMIC or the Senegalese soldiers. We should not allow that. Okay? And then those dealers that go into Casamance to buy timber, they should stop it because it's against the international law. It is against our environmental law. It's against our Forest Act. We should not encourage them. And the Ministry of Environment and the Forestry should not issue any timber trader that went to Casamance and get timber and bring it to our country, put it in the container and then ship it out to China or India. We should not encourage that. We should not be issuing any re-export license to any timber business because one way we are helping those people to destroy the ecosystem in Casamance because we are all in the same ecosystem. Casamance and Gambia are all the same ecosystem. So if Senegal has a problem, they were there, no doubt there will be a problem here. In fact, they've already destroyed all our forests in the Gambia. That's why they move over to Casamance. And all of this is being supported by our government. So that needs to be stopped. Because this timber business, they only care about their money and their own personal interest because of the good money they are getting when they send the timber to China. We could have used those timber in our domestic consumption. Exactly. We can get firewood or we can get timber to build our houses. Why are we selling to China? Because of the money. And we should stop that. And because they corrupt everybody in the system, that's why they always manage to get it. Because you cannot go to the port with a container full of log if you don't get the right documentation. So that documentation is coming from the Ministry of Environment or the Department of Forestry. So why are we empowering thieves? That should not be. Yeah. So far, so good. That's my last word.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much once again for that wonderful discussion. And then congratulations to the Scorpion for chipping on proud and then flying the Gambian flag high up there, that level.
Very good. We should definitely congratulate them, and then they make us proud and make us, out there in the whole world. Everybody knows about Gambia now. So thanks to them, and then thank you, Mfamara, for that wonderful, discussion. Yeah.
Thank you, Sawan.
All right. Take care. Have a good one.